Arash Madani. Oh, we're starting with Cincinnati, Dallas. And we talked about it at the start of the show. Imagine if I feel for the guys and girls that had Dallas plus 5.5.
Excuse me. Barney, I don't know if there is a more Cowboys way to lose than that one. Off a blocked punt that you muff the return, and then Cincinnati recovers, and then you go soft man coverage on Jamar Chase for the game-winning touchdown. Like, that is implosion. Is that the right?
Well,
it's very
they've lost games this year, definitely because of offense, definitely because of defense, and now because of special teams. The trifecta.
Right. I don't know, man. It's all three phases. Lose. Like your buddy Mr. Pollock there. He's been around a lot of bad football in his day. Like there's traditional ways of losing. You know, the turnover battle doesn't go your way, or you're banged up, or the other team's just better than you. This was the Cowboys inventing a new method to just be a disgrace.
Yeah, it's like speechless after seeing it and watching it, and I agree. It looked like Jamar Chase just kind of catches that out on the flat and jogs his way in for the winning touchdown. So it was an interesting.
Did it bring up old times, my man? Did it rekindle a few memories?
Yeah, there was a few of those. There were some good days though too. Let's get that out there.
Were some great days.
There was a few tougher ones as well.
You know, I think can we go back? Sorry, I know we're putting a lot on Colson right now. Can you play that highlight? Can you play the highlight again on the final score here? Let's watch this closely if you're watching the stream. Watch this. He throws it out in the flats. He scores if it's touch football. He scores there if it's touch, man.
Colson, one more time. Watch when Chase first catches the ball. Colson, you play that. It's almost like as if he's bracing to be tackled. And he's like, wait a minute, no one's here. I can get loose.
Does he
even
explode?
Jamar Chase couldn't believe it. It's like one of those, don't you know I'm Jamar Chase?
Yeah. Pretty good player. They should be aware of him.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dallas fans, but I hit a 4-game parlay with that. That was dirty. There's no way that should happen. The block punt. I'm like, oh, there's someone from Dallas touched this. They did. What a ride it is. Bill Belichick really getting into college coaching?
I'm trying to figure out what the play is here. And I get that college has now turned into what the NIL and transfer portal. It's become, as much like the NFL or pro football as anything. I wonder if Belichick is using this as a kind of warning sign, a little smoke signal to every NFL owner out there that's thinking about firing their coach at the end of the season, being like, if you don't start talking to me back channel, I'm going to North Carolina. I'll go to college. I've already met with the chancellor. I'm openly talking about it. I'll bring my son from the University of Washington. I don't know. Like, what's the play here for him to openly discuss this and for him to float this out to the Schefters of the world?
I think you're right. And then I also think it's like, I will come, but then my son gets the job immediately after me for as long as he wants it.
Could be.
It feels like he covers both sides. To Arash's point here, he gets that message out that I'm still willing and wanting to work, and he talks about the structure and how it'll be an NFL system in a college, environment and all those things. So he's kind of covering off both bases, and those NFL owners are going, well, what kind of structure are you talking about here? Maybe there's still some appetite for you to come in and reorganize our team a little bit here. And if it doesn't doesn't work out on that side, he's already laid the groundwork to go after recruits if it did become a real thing at UNC.
And here's you know what I find the most intriguing kind of piece to all of this is actually Russell Wilson. Like, Denver is paying Russell Wilson this year almost $40 million not to play for the Broncos. And he goes on a veteran minimum salary to Pittsburgh, and he's having all this success with a veteran coach like Mike Tomlin, who's been through it before. Does Belichick have a vet quarterback in mind that he thinks he can win with? And the name I keep thinking about, because, look, Belichick's sour, Belichick has agendas, Belichick has vendettas. Does he think that he can screw the Jets and go to the Giants with Aaron Rodgers and win?
Yo, he definitely
think that? I wonder, I really wonder about that, because I can't imagine, like, why is Bill coming back? Because he wants to break Don Shula's all-time coaching record. He's not there to develop a young quarterback fresh out of college.
No.
And so he's embarrassed.
Who's the vet quarterback that could be available that you think you can win with? There aren't a ton out there. Joe Flacco.
But that, you know what, though? I think we know Aaron Rodgers is a little delusional. And then I think Bill is too. Like, as a guy that watched all of those games, the last 2 years in New England, it was like, buddy, walk away. I think the game has passed you by. You can't work with the younger guys. It's different. You can't work with some of the coaches anymore. So, hey, I hope an NFL team signs him just to see if I'm correct. And if I'm wrong, I will definitely admit it and say, well, didn't see that coming. And then the Russell Wilson thing, the only comparable out there I feel to it is Deshaun Watson. Like, Cleveland. God. What a signing. Is that the worst contract in the history of sport?
Active contract? Yeah, probably. You know? Cleveland would love to get away from that. But no one's going to take on that money. That's the thing. Regardless if you think you can revive that career. I just don't know who else really is available from a veteran quarterback standpoint, fellas, to be honest with you.
Kirk Cousins.
Whoa.
Yeah,
whoa,
you know what? Good luck with that. Good luck with that. I saw the best stat of all. I don't know, like, look, we can get into all the analytic debates that we want. The stat that cannot be debated is that in the last 30 days, Homer Simpson has thrown for more touchdown passes than Kirk Cousins' zero.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't it?
That's awesome. Did you watch any of that? Did you see any of that feed?
A little bit. I wanted to see. They had to make it entertaining. They had to make it work. There was no choice in the matter. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, it was a little much. I liked the Nickelodeon plays in the past than that. I felt that one was a little further of a stretch for me, but it was cool to see for call it a drive or 5 minutes of time or whatever. But then I wanted to watch the game.
The first thing that comes to my mind when I see it, and it's really happening. Is this the Fonzie jumping the shark thing for The Simpsons? Like, is this the end of the line for The Simpsons? Are they trying to revive this brand with this? Because nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
It seems like grasping at straws to me, but maybe I'm not in the meetings. I don't know how that goes down. We talked about it. You had a vote. Summer McIntosh, Canada's Athlete of the Year for 2024. What goes into this process?
Well, it actually extends over a couple of months where about 25 or 30 media members from across the country are invited to take part in a discussion today. And everyone's invited to send in names of people they believe should be worthy candidates as Athlete of the Year for the Northern Star Award. There were 15 names that came up. Like, guys, I can't remember the last time there's been this strong with this kind of range of athlete available for Athlete of the Year. Like Chuba Hubbard of Edmonton has rushed for over 1,000 yards this year in the NFL with Carolina, and there's still a month to go. Brady Oliveira, MOP and Most Outstanding Canadian. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in the NBA is averaging better than 30 a night. And then there's McIntosh. Shea was runner-up for MVP in the NBA, and basketball is the number 2 participation sport on earth. Like, think of the depth of field. There's an argument to be made that Shea's the best basketball player on the planet. So what happens is from 15, the conversation kind of starts among everybody on the Zoom call, and then everybody submits a list of 5 names for finalists. McDavid was one. McIntosh was one, Shea was one, Natalie Spooner was one, and Ethan Katzberg, the hammer thrower, your buddy, Barney.
Yes.
Your good friend. Yes.
I still got to go try that.
Right. And from there, more conversation, then everybody puts in one vote. And McIntosh, I was told, was the overwhelming winner.
Landslide.
Yeah. Hey, Arash. So you mentioned there McDavid finished in the finalists there, which is interesting. Obviously, a Conn Smythe historic playoff run. Where did Nathan McKinnon slot into all this as the Hart Trophy winner of the NHL?
Yeah, he was in the conversation, Ryan. And man, it's interesting. Like, I don't know where you stand on it because this is Athlete of the Year. And for those watching on the stream, I thought this was one of the coolest sports moments of the year. Nikola Jokic, the NBA MVP in Denver, coming out with the Hart Trophy to hand it to the captain or to the assistant captain of the Colorado Avalanche. What matters more? What's the bigger achievement for a year? Is it regular season MVP or is it the 2-month playoff run? McDavid wasn't the leading scorer. He wasn't even close through the regular season, but obviously put together a postseason for the books. So I guess a lot with any kind of award, a lot of these things are interpretation too. Like, what matters to you? What do you think is more significant? Is it playoff performance? Is it regular season performance? I think that weighs into things as well.
Every time I see someone with the red carpet out there like that, I think of the anthem singer that bit
Quebec City.
Double spill.
How you ever forget it?
Oh, it's so good. It's just every time.
I just want to say one more thing on Summer, guys. Like, this is crazy. Like, so she wins 3 golds and a silver at the Olympics at age 17. Today, so the silver was in the 400-meter freestyle. That's the one event that she didn't win a gold medal in. Today, in Budapest, she set the world record in the 400-meter freestyle. So, like, she is just checking off everything already as a teenager. It's wild.
It is. It's hard to believe. I know we do have some baseball hardos out there. Jordan Romano with the Blue Jays. Time is done. Like, how do you capsulize that?
Well, like, Romano's from Markham, like a Toronto suburb, a Canadian boy. Like, when you think about his story, here's a guy drafted by the Jays, then basically on the scrap heap. Texas brought him in for like a hot minute. They didn't want him. The Jays were like, all right, I guess we'll take him back. And he evolves into this lockdown, shutdown closer for a couple of years. They had the light show in the 9th inning when he'd come into games. He became an all-star. And then, stop if you've heard this before, the dude gets injured. And he's going to go to Philly. And I'll just say this. And, like, I think sometimes fans are looking for a little peek behind the curtain. I remember talking to Jordan the day before the playoff game in 2022, the series against Seattle. And we were just chatting in the dugout. He'd finished his workout. And we were talking about the idea that here's a dude who, as a kid, would come to the ballpark, you know, wanting to be a Blue Jay. And now tomorrow you might be able to pitch in a playoff game to close it out. And he looked at me and said, you know, some mornings I wake up and I can't believe this is my life. Like, so often we hear about athletes and this and that and, you know, stay in the moment and blah, blah, blah. Like Romano was just like, if he wasn't doing this, he'd probably be working construction. He's like, do you know how cool it is? His grandparents came from Saskatchewan to some games. His parents would be regulars at the game. His sister threw out a first pitch at a game. Like, he actually appreciated and understood it, and he became a fan favorite, in part because he's from here, in part because of his story, and in large part because he was pretty damn good.
I can't. I'm having a tough time wrapping my head around the Juan Soto money. Like, I know at some point we are going to have $1 billion. I don't know if it's baseball or basketball that it comes first, but you know, last year with Ohtani, and it was like, nah, that's not going to happen. And then now this, and it's like, I've never hated the Mets more. Where, like, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., like, what would he be thinking about this?
Well, I think so. Ohtani's 10-year 700, Soto's 15, 765. I think Vlad's saying to himself, if I have a big year, I'm a $500 or $600 million player.
Well, what are the Blue Jays thinking about it? That's the can they stay in that market, Arash?
I mean, they can, but if Vlad gets to free agency, is he going to come back? What's he coming back to? By the end of 2026, Chris Bassett, Kevin Gausman, Dalton Varsho, Bo Bichette, Vlad, they're all free agents. Like, they have mismanaged their assets. And what kind of message have you sent Guerrero when you said, we're all in on Ohtani, we're all in on Soto, and we're not even talking to you about a contract yet? That I can't imagine that's going over too well with the Guerrero camp.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, and then what are you selling? That becomes the question if you're the Jays.
Jeez, so much money. Yeah, I don't know. Where does it end? You wanted to talk about insiders?
Yeah, well, in part because the guy sitting beside you, like we don't really know what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is thinking. We didn't really know what Juan Soto wanted, other than a lot of money. Who can blame him? And people ask me, well, what do you think goes on here? What do you think's happening back there? And my honest answer always is, I don't know. And we hear about insiders all the time. And the reason I say the guy beside you is because when you work for a team, you see so much stuff that you wouldn't even imagine existed in a day-to-day. And when you don't work in a team, you don't know anything that's going on there. What do you think, Ryan? Like, what gets out? 5 to 10% of what's happening inside the building?
Yeah,
maybe.
Sure. Safe. That's a safe ballpark number on it, I guess. But you're right, and I think it swings both ways. I think fans always want to see behind the curtain for the dirty stuff and the bad stuff. But sometimes there's a lot of good stuff that happens that people don't know about, and positive relationships where potentially people are wrong. No further than one that occurred here just a couple of years ago with Jason Moss and Cody Fajardo, that the belief all around town was there was a disconnect, and they were on different pages and couldn't get along. And as soon as Coach Moss was down the road, Cody was right behind him back into the same locker room. So sometimes there's those things happening internally that give a different external perception to it, and we don't know what's happening for sure inside, but relationships and meetings and locker room dynamics and all those things people aren't necessarily aware of. And a lot happens. A lot goes into player conversations. A lot goes into re-signings and new signings and transactions that people aren't necessarily aware of. But they're an integral part, Arash. I'll say that you know me from my position. Insiders are an integral part to help promote your league and stay in the conversation while the league's in full swing, and also when it's maybe a little bit of downtime.
Yeah. Here's the other thing I find fascinating. One of my kind of like quote unquote strategies when talking to people is like, hey, what can you tell me to make me sound smart? Even say like just from an X's and O's standpoint or whatever. And if you have a good relationship with somebody, they might give you just a little bit of intel. so that, I come on the sports cage, I can say, well, it wouldn't surprise me if the Riders, the Bombers, the Stamps, the Elks want to do this and use a certain player this way on Friday night. And then you go listen to some of the podiums and you're like, wait a minute, what this guy told me off the record, kind of confidentially, whatever, he kind of contradicted himself at the podium. So sometimes I'm like, I got to take what people say at the podium with a grain of salt too, because they're trying to kind of run. They know that the opponent is listening. They know the opponent is watching. They don't want to give them any kind of secrets or any insight on what's going on. So that's a delicate balance too that I find.
That's those dang PR guys getting in the coach's ear before he goes to the podium. Hey, it's funny you just said that. Did you know the opposition's listening? Because I was sitting here while you were talking, thinking about how a former offensive coordinator with the Riders came on this show. This was many years ago. Came on this show and talked about how he has a play that they call Kentucky, and talked about concepts. There was no play in our playbook called Kentucky with any of those concepts, but he knew that other coaches around the league were listening to the show.
Oh, I was like, was he banged up when he was on the show? I was like, that's Kentucky.
Which also, guys, speaks to the insanity of these people, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to make up something because I know my counterpart's listening.
Okay. Speaking of insiders, it's neck and neck here. We need a couple of votes from you on our Sports Cage Ultimate Christmas Song bracket. I don't know if you're a big Christmas song guy in Truro, Nova Scotia. If mom and dad would get a good tap in the feet, what would be the one? But we narrowed it down to the top 16 yesterday with our listeners. So the first two games going on as we speak. It's Do They Know It's Christmas by Band-Aid, all-time classic, raised a lot of money for famine relief in Africa, against Santa Looked a Lot Like Daddy by Buck Owens, also done by Brad Paisley and Garth Brooks. So who are you voting on that one? You're right in ballot here.
I'm going to go with Santa Looked a Lot Like Daddy.
Oh, see? Yeah. See, this is very similar to Canada's Athlete of the Year. These are big votes here.
Yeah.
And then the other one is I'll Be Home for Christmas, Bing Crosby.
I'm here to support the divorce lawyers out there, Barney. I'm trying to get you a divorce lawyer sponsorship for the show.
I'll Be Home for Christmas by Bing Crosby. Now, don't vote on brand. It's like Alabama, just because it's Bing Crosby. He's up against 11 Days from Christmas by Metro, very popular in the Ukrainian community here in Saskatchewan. Who are you voting for there?
I think just the OG song is the Bing Crosby tune, isn't it?
Okay. You went Bing Crosby. Metro's in trouble. Everybody out there. Like, we're going to need a late push here in the last 45 minutes of Metro fans. 936-6262 or vote at Sports Cage Twitter. Thursday, I'm coming at you again Thursday. We don't know who will be playing on Thursday, Arash, but if you want to brush up your Christmas music, which would be your favorite one? Not that we can add them in here. We can't have write-ins at this point.
Yeah.
Mariah Carey guy? Maybe Christmas in Hollis? Run DMC? Reggae Christmas? Bryan Adams?
I think
Those
Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town still gets my juices pumping a little bit,
Old school, right?
Yeah,
just stand back there and shoot. Stand back there and shoot. Don't be flashy.
Sammy Darnold is coming to town, baby.
Twist it into a Vikings. All right.
Hey, I'll be at the Monday Nighter next week for you, Arash. I'll be cheering on your Vikes. Yeah. And I'll be there.
I'll send you a couple of recos of places to go in the Twin Cities, my man.
Perfect.
Right on. See you, Arash.
See you, boys.
Coast to Coast, the Arash Madani for Brian Gawley. Smart Investing Solutions. You heard Brian just before we started the program. He said market's pretty flat today. So you can always catch Brian or get him for your investing advice. Quick break here. When we come back, we got the Clutch Performer. It's the all-new Sports Cage on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM.